Welcome back into American Agenda. I have to ask this. Why is it so hard for the left to understand men don't belong in women's sports? I think it's a rather simple argument. Men and women, we're not the same. No matter how bad some people out there want us to be, no matter how crafty you get with the argument, which the left is trying to do, they're not giving up on it. Now, John Oliver, you may or may not know him. He hosts a show on HBO. He took a stab at this a couple of days ago. He went with the old, oh, it's not a big deal. What about the science? And the right is obsessed with it argument. Here was the beginning.
We're actually going to start with our main story this week, and it concerns an absolute fixation of the right.
Okay, he talked on for about 40 minutes about that, going on and on and on to try and prove his argument on why men should be playing in women's sports. If anything, I think that's proof, actually, that the left is obsessed with the issue. Why are they so obsessed with getting men to compete against women is the real question I have. I think it's weird. It's too bizarre. And that's what they don't get because they're so woke. Number one, it's majorly unfair. And frankly, I think the biggest part of the argument the left doesn't get is it's crazy. And people don't want to live in a country where something absurd like this goes on. That's why the polling shows this. Nearly 80% of Americans don't want men playing in women's sports. Really simple. Shouldn't even be an argument or a thing anymore. Look, you want to be trans, okay, but you can't compete in women's sports. And the left always tries to diminish this one and say, oh, it's only a couple cases here and there, nothing to see here. That's what they do. It's just a tactic to try and downplay it so you don't realize it. No, though. The cases should be zero. And it's happening more than you think. If it wasn't, why do we always have updates to provide you with? Always. So here we go. From last week, a biological male wins a high school girls high jump in Oregon at a competition. The biological male won a girls varsity high jump event almost 2 years after finishing last in the boys equivalent event. So last in the boys event, first in the girls event. You can see this is morally wrong. You can spin this any way you want, but you know it to be true. The actual young women who trained to compete were placed in an unfair situation by adults who worship woke ideology. It is that simple. And so right now I want to applaud some of the women who recently had the courage to stand up to this. One of them, female fencer Stephanie Turner, she's been awarded $5,000 by XXXY Athletics after refusing to compete against transgender an opponent. His name, Redmond Sullivan. Stephanie took a knee at the USA fencing tournament. That was back on March 30th, where Turner then didn't compete. She protested it. Good for her, I say. As for Redmond Sullivan, that person is no longer on the women's team at Wagner College. Maybe some common sense prevails there. I don't know, maybe. Also, congrats to disc golfer Abigail Wilson. Wilson walked off the course in protest recently. At the Music City Open down in Tennessee, she refused to compete against a man. We're seeing this more and more, and I hope more women have the courage to do so and other people support them in that, because I think it is wild when men like John Oliver try to explain somehow that he and others know better than women when it comes to this. You see how ridiculous this issue has become.